In this short video, we will show you the key components of the Unfolder Emerald T implantation system, how to load the lens into the cartridge, and how to load the cartridge into the handpiece. The Unfolder Emerald Series handpiece is intended for use with the Emerald Series cartridge and the TECNIS 3-piece IOL and Sensor foldable 3-piece IOL. The Emerald T implantation system consists of the Unfolder Emerald Series handpiece and the easy-to-load Emerald Series cartridge. The Unfolder Emerald Series cartridge consists of the trough, wings, and beveled tip. Before we begin, it is important to note that the Unfolder Emerald T handpiece must be sterilized before each use. Sterility assurance is the responsibility of the user. Instructions for sterilizing the handpiece can be found in the Directions for Use. Confirm that the handpiece is engraved with the designation Model Emerald T, and ensure that the rod is retracted. You should be able to see all the threads. Once the rod is fully retracted, it is ready to be loaded with the cartridge and IOL. With the cartridge still in the inner tray, the OVD is injected into the tube of the cartridge and along the bottom of both depressions. Note that there is an IOL drawing on the cartridge wing. Now, the inner tray is grasped, and the lens is placed anterior side up across the central hinge of the Unfolder Emerald Series cartridge, so that the position of the haptics corresponds with the IOL drawing on the cartridge wing. The lens should be carefully centered on the loading area, and the leading haptic is placed into the loading area of the cartridge. The trailing haptic extends out the end of the wings. Now, the optic edge is slid under the ridge of the cartridge by pushing on the edge of the optic. Next, a rounded blade forceps is used to push the optic edges down into the tube portion of the wings. The center of the lens optic is pushed down as the wings are closed. The loaded cartridge should be inspected to show that neither the optic edge nor the haptics is pinched by the wings. The leading haptic should be visible with its tip pointing forward in the tube portion of the cartridge. The leading haptic should not be folded back, and the tip of the leading haptic should be straight. If either of the haptics are caught between the wings when they are closed, the haptics may become detached when advancing the IOL through the cartridge tube. Alternatively, the IOL can be loaded on the cartridge from the landing zone. As before, OVD is applied to the landing zone. The lens is placed anterior side up on the landing zone. Using a rounded blade forceps, the lens is pushed forward into the hinge portion of the cartridge. When pushing the lens forward, it is important to ensure that the edges of the IOL are held below the ledges of the wings. Again, the wings are closed, ensuring that the leading haptic is visible with its tip pointing forward in the tube portion of the cartridge and the trailing haptic extending out the back of the cartridge. Now, the wings are held together, and the Unfolder Emerald Series cartridge is inserted into the handpiece, taking care not to damage the tip. The cartridge is pushed forward into the slot of the Unfolder Emerald T handpiece until the cartridge stops. At this point, the rod is not advanced. Just before implantation, the surgeon checks to ensure that the trailing haptic is to the left of the rod and is not caught by the rod. The tip of the trailing haptic should be placed pointed outside of the handpiece. The rod is then pushed forward without rotating the screw mechanism until the screw mechanism stops sliding forward in the handpiece body. Then, the screw is rotated to advance the IOL until the leading edge of the haptic is 1 to 2 millimeters from the bevel of the cartridge. The surgeon should verify that the leading haptic is pointing forward in the cartridge. Note that the implantation should be performed immediately after the handpiece rod is pushed forward. The lens and cartridge should be discarded if the lens is in the advanced position for more than 30 seconds, or if the lens has been folded in any position within the cartridge for more than 5 minutes. Also note that the rod direction should never be reversed until the optic body has been completely released. Next, the tip is inserted into the incision with the bevel side down. The cartridge is rotated to point the bevel and leading haptic to the surgeon's left. The screw mechanism is used to push the lens optic forward until the leading optic edge reaches the bevel of the cartridge.